What's up, YouTube? Blaze here, and I'm back with another reaction video, and I'm back with a new overlay. But anyways, for today's video, I'm going to be reacting to Atozy, which is covering the latest new TikTok trend, which is basically he's speed running and being a nuisance. And it's at the main headquarters of the Church of Scientology in Florida. In some weird way, I condone being a public nuisance and it's for clout, mainly because we've seen our fair share of content creators / streamers basically act like total burdens to society in foreign countries. You guys all know what I'm talking about. But, and also, ironically, in a weird way I find this funny, it's mainly because it's happening to the Church of Scientology. And of course, while everyone's probably heard stories over the last 2 decades of all the shady stuff that the Church of Scientology is involved with when it comes to their beliefs as well as silencing critics and discrediting former members that left and spoke out against them. So anyways, here we go. I can't wait to see what this is about. If you guys are ready, I know I am. Let's go.
Speedrunning trend has completely breached the containment zone, and it's gotten so bad that now the Church of Scientology is calling for law enforcement to do something about it, and they're calling all of this a hate crime. So it's safe to say things have gone.
Okay, so I don't know what's going on, mainly because I don't use TikTok, but apparently it involves the LA branch, not in Florida, so feel free to correct me on that one. My bad.
Gotten a little bit out of control since we last covered it. But I mean, hey, it comes to a surprise to like no one that these speedruns continue to go viral online. More and more people want to get involved, and the trend is now unmanageable for the Scientology centers. Because now you have massive groups of people just dogpiling into these churches, making very detailed maps on how to efficiently speedrun as far into the churches as possible. It's out of control. And apparently things have gotten so bad that a lot of the Scientology churches are removing the door handles from their doors.
We cannot get in the Scientology building, dog. They got that shit on lockdown. Oh my god. Yo.
I'm back, guys. Sorry for that. The weirdest question is... Okay, so there's 2 videos from Atozy on this. The weirdest question is, why in LA out of all places? I think I might have to react to the video we made a week ago. Well, just to figure out what's going on.
Bro, what's going on? Oh god, you finna last in or what?
Well, the internet's been very entertained with this whole trend, maybe because the Church of Scientology does have some questionable things in its past. Some questionable skeletons in the closet. Who knows? Well, what do we know? We're not talking about that here on this channel, though. But we're talking about the current speedrunning that's going on. Because what started as just like, stupid kids filming a stunt for social media, it's turned into a serious mob storming them one after one. In my last video, I compared it to the storm Area 51, no one can stop us all. Now, the Gen Z equivalent of that is just storming the Scientology churches, because clearly they can't stop them all. But unfortunately, it might land some of these kids with some serious consequences if the church gets its way. But if you missed my last video on the whole Church of Scientology speedrunning thing, well, it's only got a whole lot worse. Essentially, you have Scientology, which is a questionable religion, to put it lightly.
No kidding, man. No kidding. Look, we all know about out the skeletons in Scientology's closet. It's just nothing can be done about them because they're technically a legitimate religion in the eyes of the IRS and the First Amendment of the the U.S. Constitution. Unless they're tax exempt as a religion it's taken away from them, I don't think anyone's gonna open the floodgates on crazy going into deep dive investigations.
And people just realized, hey, what if we start speedrunning it? Like, running into it and seeing how far we can get and just see what happens. And it started off with one TikToker, then the same TikToker collabed with another creator, and then those videos went viral, and then more and more TikTokers started doing it. And then it just completely snowballed out of control because now you have groups as large as 50 people raiding places like LA, New York, Vancouver, and I guess at this point, it's not just a silly TikTok trend. Now, this Church of Scientology is really trying to get some consequences for the people doing this. And it's been like, what, not even a week since I covered this last, and things have just spiraled so far out of control.
And they're trying to get this qualified as hate crimes? They're just being a bunch of annoying teens just running through the place. It's not like they're vandalizing and tagging and with graffiti or well, who knows what qualifies under the umbrella of a hate crime towards the Church of Scientology. But this isn't the first time they try to push for silencing the critics, because around 20-ish years ago, and I remembered watching this through a slight documentary made on Watch Mojo about the Hacker Collective Anonymous, how they targeted the Church of Scientology, because there was a video that leaked out into the public, of Tom Cruise, of famous actor Tom Cruise, which we should now just name the poster boy for Scientology, because he practically is. And well, because of the leaks, Scientology did its thing and tried to shut down anyone who got a hold of it. So Anonymous went after them as a result. And they've also criticized actress Leah Reming for doing her biography show on A&E, exposing all the horrors of Scientology through various ex-members that endured horrific horrors that should not be publicly just horrific horrors from the church that have traumatized a lot of people as a result. And of course, or several other major stories opened up about Scientology, but not just Scientology, Jehovah's Witnesses as well.
And the original creators of this trend are very much trying to wipe their hands of responsibility from this, and I really don't blame them whatsoever. Plus, I mean, they could have never expected how big this was actually going to get. I think to them, this was just like a goofy idea to do. And I mean, in the grand...
Yeah, because when it came to the whole thing with the Area 51 thing a few years before the COVID pandemic hit, that the guy that orchestrated it all had to be under the watch of the FBI due to him receiving constant death threats. That's because of this.
Scheme of things, this is probably like one of the least harmful trends that we've covered here on this channel, because we've covered some really bad stuff that's happened on TikTok here on this channel. Because the way it started, at least, you just had two teenagers run around inside the...
Which is not surprising, because TikTok is literally a hotbed for some of the most infamous challenges that have ever listed that can and will potentially endanger young lives.
Scientology church. That was really it. They didn't harm anyone. They were just told to leave, and they eventually left. This is like so much better than 99% of the stuff that we cover here on this channel. But Schweily, who we discussed in my original video, he's been named as the originator of this trend and was quoted as saying, "I do not condone what I did, even though I didn't break any laws. All I did was explore a building, and I was never asked to not come back to the premises." I like the added caveat there, even though I did not break any laws. Smart. I respect that statement. But he then went on to say, "I never once in my video or any comment section or anywhere promoted the idea of running through there or beating my record." And on that note, yes, big warning. We do not condone this behavior whatsoever. We're just talking about a viral situation that's happening.
Yeah,
Please don't go speedrun the Church of Scientology.
Yeah, I don't condone this either. Sorry if I'm retracting my last statement, but still. This is not exactly a behavior that I would encourage. Not because of legal repercussions. It's just because, given the history of what the Church of Scientology did to a lot of former or victims, it's not recommended to go poke that bear. Best case scenario, there's repercussions on a legal side. Worst case scenario, something bad can happen and they can get away with it.
But I mean, that's fair. The internet does just latch on to random things, and it's hard to predict what the internet's going to latch on to. Like, you had the whole Timothy Chalamet lookalike contest. I don't think anyone thought that was going to be that big. Then you had, obviously, the Area 51 event. I don't think anyone expected almost 1,000 people to show up to the Area 51 gate. I was one of them because I just wanted to document and see how many people actually showed up. But I guess it just shows at the end of the day, if you get enough people on board, it can become a trend. But hey, if you're going to storm something in the future, maybe storm, I don't know, a food pantry with 1,000 cans of non-perishable food, and you leave them there, and then you run off. Start that trend, please. But I digress. So initially...
Yeah, because you'll be giving away free stuff for charity. Because, let's face it, when it comes to stuff like this, we need something good to come out of this.
These videos consisted of 2 people, or maybe max 5 people, running through the Scientology church in Hollywood. And usually it was just running in through the front door and then out through the back door. That's it. And even though technically this is trespassing and technically dangerous for both parties, it wasn't too many people that it became violent or unmanageable. And it doesn't make it too much better, but for the most part, these groups were just in and out, and they didn't really cause any damage or anything. Very quickly, however, though, things changed a bit because people wanted to know what was deep inside this church. Like, what's going on?
Not surprising that conspiracy theorists would start rearing their heads when it came to this type of challenge.
In here. So people started pushing further and further, and they started mapping out the Hollywood building. Then people started bringing air horns and creating a detailed map of the inner workings of the facility. So things started to spiral from that point on. And it could also have to do with, like, this church on Hollywood Boulevard makes it feel a little bit less real and less like it was trespassing and gave people confidence. Like, I don't know, it looks a little bit like an attraction having, you know, the Walk of Fame on the sidewalk out front. And normally they stand with the doors wide open to the public with banners and books promoting their beliefs in the windows and even outside. And obviously this was how they were able to get it.
Well, at least it's not like the main branch building base. It's not like it was the main branch building in Florida, because that would have been a lot worse.
And start speedrunning this building. But for years, I mean, it's kind of been a trend where if they detect that you're not serious and you're just gonna hassle them, they like retreat indoors, they close the doors, and they like shut down the shades, and they just hide out and wait for the person to leave. This has happened over and over and over again. To the point where there are people that have built TikTok accounts off of just, I don't know, filming and confronting them and then watching them retreat into their base. And obviously, it's not normal for people to storm buildings, so I guess they weren't really expecting this.
Yeah, no, because I can think of worst reasons why.
It's not like they were out here building a Clash of Clans base trying to protect the base from people running in, but who knows, they might do that in the future. But of course, as these Scientology speedrunning videos started racking in millions and millions of views, a whole bunch of people joined in, and then it just turned into a disaster.
This is just one snapshot of so-called speedrunners. including a man dressed like Jesus stampeding right through security at a Scientology building on Hollywood Boulevard, screaming as they sprint into the organization's notoriously clandestine halls.
Because as I mentioned, people from other states are joining in, or at least expressing their desire to join in. But now it's pretty much gone global, because the Church of Scientology has a building in a lot of major cities around the world.
Okay. Churches are located all over the world and virtually in every major city. Los Angeles, Pasadena, San Francisco, Seattle, New York, Washington, D.C., London, Berlin, Brussels, Madrid, Mexico, and I apologize for any Germans that watch this if I butcher this, Johannesburg.
Which I also feel like is one of the reasons why it's become so viral, because everyone has access, relatively, to a Church of Scientology to speedrun. Because, as I mentioned earlier, the New York...
Yeah, because... Well, that part doesn't surprise me, considering... places that I've seen around here. Around the state where I live. Even in rural towns that are so vastly small, you can at least find one Kingdom Hall for Jehovah's Witnesses around here. Here, I'm not even kidding.
Building's been stormed. The Vancouver building's been stormed. I mean, this trend has traveled as far to Australia or even Germany. This is crazy. And without showing them, because I'm not trying to endorse this or help people recruit, there are currently people making videos recruiting people to do more speedruns. So, I mean, I can only imagine what the Church of Scientology is trying to do to stop all this right now. And I mean, this trend is honestly as unserious as it gets, because you have dudes dressing up as Gru and a whole bunch of minions.
Minions! Tonight we meet Tom Cruise!
Wow. This is crazy. Then again, I doubt Tom Cruise lives in Florida. I'm pretty sure it's either LA or somewhere else. Then again, with as much money as he made through all the movies he's done over the years, I'm pretty sure Tom Cruise can live anywhere in the world that he wants.
Alright, here we go. Hello. We are here to meet Tom Cruise. May we come inside?
No.
Curse you, Shannon!
We live in some fascinating times. And of course, there was another dude who got a group of dwarves together and just ran in there as well.
Where's Zenu? Let's find Zenu. Let's go.
Who's Zeno?
So, again, what is going on? And while it's still a joke to most people, and the Scientology Church does have a questionable past, and they've done some questionable things, it's still not worth catching charges over a TikTok trend. Because let's be real, the trend, while it can be entertaining, is quite dumb, and it's not worth having something permanent on your record, especially something like a hate crime for something stupid like.
And I'm no lawyer. I don't think this technically qualifies as a hate crime. I think the Church of Scientology is basically just trying to get whatever, or the heaviest punishment they can get out of this. One, it's not like they're committing vandalism, tagging hateful messages. They're just running through the building. It's not like they're It's not like they're intending to commit like espionage or something.
This. But of course, on top of the legal ramifications, the Church of Scientology has also been known for getting back at their enemies in their own way. So apparently they...
The term fair game is used to describe policies and practices carried out by the Church of Scientology towards people and groups it perceives as enemies. He's founder of Scientology, L. Rob Huford, established in the 1950s in response to criticism both from within and outside the his organization, individuals or groups who are quote-unquote fair game are judged to be a threat by the church. And according to this policy, they can be punished and harassed with any means as possible. In 1968, Hubert officially canceled the term of fair game and because of negative public relations it caused, although the church's aggressive response to criticism continued. Yeah.
Have something called fair game, which is a term they use to describe the policies and practices the church uses to combat threats. And while no, they're not hunting down people or disappearing people as we know of, there are TikTokers now coming out saying that they feel like they're being followed by them. So that is interesting.
Yeah, but then again, people that spoke out about one of the celebrity members, Danny Masterson, which is currently running in prison for a bunch of horrific crimes that I won't discuss here. A lot of people were claiming that they were being harassed and stopped by supposed enforcers of the church. And unfortunately, this also led to harassment being involved with the front woman of Lincoln Park, Emily Armstrong, due to her familiar ties to Scientology, which, glad to say that she broke off from that now. And on top of that, one of the major critics of the whole thing with Emily Armstrong being involved with Lincoln Park is Jamie Bennington, the son of the late Chester Bennington, although I'm not sure if there's a lot of credibility considering that I've been reading that Jamie's been having his own issues with mental health. And I imagine the whole thing with losing his father the way it did really did take a major toll on his mental health.
And according to ex-Scientologists like Leah Remini, the church will go after you if they can, and the more people they can frame as enemies, the more they get to act like they're actually being persecuted.
Yeah, and that's the sad part about it all. Especially with Leah Remini, because she was one of the loudest critics over the past decade after she left. Honestly, it was better off this way.
For being a religion.
You know, they're going to go after you. They're going to involve law enforcement. They're going to have you arrested if they can, for one purpose, to silence your voice and your platform. So this actually benefits them. They want to be able to say that they're being harassed. They want to reinforce this false narrative that they're a legitimate religion being persecuted, and you're playing into that narrative.
And apparently there's no secret that if you try to leave this religion, they will follow you to the best of their ability. But as of right...
Yeah, because one of the major stories that Leah Remini pointed out when she was speaking to ex-members that were survivors of the horrors of the Church of Scientology. Basically, supposedly, the Church of Scientology allegedly has people that can come after you for attempting to defect from the church.
Now, it doesn't seem like anyone's received any real legal repercussions, but they have removed the door handles on certain buildings. And a lot of people are also saying that it's important to consider that if you think these people are trapped in this religion, then by that logic, you could be rushing victims there. And then that kind of reaffirms their belief that, oh, they're being persecuted for doing this religion. Because, as Remini previously said, Scientology loves to paint themselves as victims. Again, I don't know if any of this is true. We're just talking about this trend here on this channel.
Yeah, a lot of it can be basic allegations, but the more I looked into that, I think, because I actually watched Leah Remini's mini-series on this kind of makes me think maybe there is something to all that, but I won't say anything more about it.
But I will absolutely keep an eye on this trend, and I'll let you guys know if anything else happens. But until then, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.
Well, that's it for today's video. Honestly, normally I would regard this as being extremely petty, but given what a history of the church I explain, not to mention hearing it from one of the more famous ex-members, such as Atozy Scientology, it kind of makes sense that there's things going on that should not. Things that going on that should be looked into, but can't because of what I explained in the beginning with the IRS and the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and in the Bill of Rights. Basically, freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom of expression, that sort of thing. But anyways, that's it for me. If you liked today's video, please leave a like, drop a comment down below. Also, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified when I post new videos or when I go live on Kick and or Rumble. Well, because due to a glitch on YouTube, I'm not going to be streaming there for a little while for the foreseeable future, and I apologize for that. Until next time, see you guys later.